The Caitlin Clark affair and the WNBA. It has been an enormous boom for the same women who complained that the NBA got more money than they did, that they were flying commercial. They didn't get to fly private. And at the same time, Caitlin Clark has been targeted like no other athlete's ever been since the days of the so-called Negro League, when you had the first black players make it into the mainstream of professional baseball. And the stories go that they were hit with bad pitches and tried to be knocked out and knocked down and abused. And sometimes it's just the way of things in the human sin problem. Because it's a human sin problem to covet what other people have, to hate people because of their differences. It's a sin problem. And there's a massive sin problem within the WNBA, obviously, since it's a league founded to promote things that are ungodly, and it's become a grievance league. So Caitlin Clark becoming Rookie of the Year is going to bother a lot of people. It already is. And I was thinking specifically about ESPN, who tried desperately to pretend that there was some sort of competition between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. There wasn't. It wasn't even close. There's something else, though, that's being hidden in this, and it's the data. This is how important players like Caitlin Clark are to this league, which makes it even more interesting that they're trying to eliminate her from the league. It seems at least her fellow players are, specifically on one team. That's cultural. Oh, and by the way, it's also racism. And please don't say reverse racism. There's no such thing. There's processes in your body you can reverse. You can reverse into some degree the rate at which you lose muscle as you age. I mean, there's obviously things you can do. You know, I told you I use testosterone supplements. I've used a little HGH, and I've been using that for about 6 months, and I like it. It's had great results. Not everybody can afford that. I don't know that I can. And it's not something that a lot of people want to do, but there's something you can do over the counter. I do this. I use Masszymes. Masszymes was created by my friends Wade and Matt at Bioptimizers. Bioptimizers doesn't put their breakthrough label on anything that doesn't go through rigorous testing. They always have a capstone test. What does this do for people? 243 experiments it took them to be okay putting the label breakthrough on the Masszymes product, and it had to go through a rigorous test. The guys turned to Birch International University in Bosnia. They did a side-by-side test. People ate food and did not use Masszymes. People ate food and did use Masszymes. The people who used Masszymes produced in their body 1,200% more amino acids than the group that did not use Masszymes. What that means is more sustaining of muscle and more muscle growth, because that's what can be powered by amino acids can cause that in the body, particularly branch chain aminos. You can take action on this now by going to bioptimizers.com/Todd. You'll get 10% off Masszymes and all their products at Bioptimizers. Bioptimizers.com/Todd. Stop letting poor digestion stop you from reaching your goals and commitments. Bioptimizers.com/Todd. Caitlin Clark becoming Rookie of the Year was something that she had to fight through. Not that kind of fight through. I mean, actually fight through. She was the recipient of 20% or almost 20% of all fouls in the league. 80% of those came from one team, the Chicago Sky, and it was allowed to continue. The racial overtones of this are profound. We had a video on YouTube that really, really took off, and for people who watched it on YouTube and commented, thank you. There were a number of people who wrote in and said, the only reason you're watching Caitlin Clark is because she's white. That's the only reason you've tuned in. And I had to reply to those and go, A, I don't watch the games. I'm observing what's going on with Caitlin Clark. I read the coverage about this. I watch Caitlin Clark clips. I watch what Angel Reese does to her. I read the statistics, but no. This is not true of any sport. There are no sports that people tune into to watch the black players or the white players. That's not happening. It's not happening in the WNBA. No one's going to take their time to do that because there's so many available viewing options. Incidentally, and I checked this out, Caitlin Clark is not the first white woman in the WNBA. Did you know that? Not by a long shot. Jason Whitlock knows what he's talking about with sports, and he has a view on race. Obviously, he's a black guy. Maybe that's why he liked Caitlin Clark. He tweeted this. It's a video to me of a savage attack against Caitlin Clark. In this case, it is Angel Reese, I think, going at Caitlin Clark with her long fingernails. She doesn't even reach for the ball, the basketball. She stabs Caitlin Clark in the eye. She scratches her straight in Caitlin Clark's right eye. And it doesn't look like a play for the ball. The ball was already over her head. Cases like this should be prosecuted. I mean, prosecuted. There have been instances where there's been these enhanced fouls, and Caitlin Clark has been the recipient of this, and she is the recipient of most of the enhanced fouls, where it's particularly egregious. But a case like that, I mean, you know that whole thing? The fun stops when the eye gets poked out? That's an attempt to poke an eye out. Caitlin Clark destroyed one of her main rivals, and she did this, Angel Reese, in front of that rival's mentor, Shaquille O'Neal.
Underneath the basket, the Shields and Clark. Caitlin Clark.
This is where Caitlin Clark is just tackled.
Some of the best basketball in the
just
WNBA post-Olympic break. Ames has really taken upon her shoulders to be more aggressive offensively.
That's Caitlin Clark straight into a feed.
That opportunity.
A three.
Rattles it around for her.
Did a great job of picking Caitlin Clark.
Step back three.
But she just went under that.
Tonight, an electric crowd.
There's
here
Shaquille
in Wintrust
O'Neal. Listen
Arena.
to this.
What does
Listen
it mean
to
to
this.
witness up close the recent in her journey? It started at LSU. What does it
That's
mean?
where Shaquille
What's
went,
some advice
LSU.
you've given her? What?
I love her. I love the way Caitlin Clark is playing.
For the Fever.
I love the way Caitlin Clark's playing.
Logo
three
logo
from Caitlin.
They
Three.
make sure that the ball moves
Three.
around until it gets back in the hand.
Extended run from the end of the first
Three.
quarter. Clark again.
She's just sinking
them.
them.
Her career, but she can also bang.
Oh, and she feeds the ball in. She's a dominant player. And the WNBA stood by. She was assaulted. These things should be criminal. You try to take someone's eye out, that should be criminal. And God bless Shaq. He's aware of the controversy. God bless him for praising how Caitlin Clark is playing, even as Angel Reese was apparently his mentee. And Angel Reese has actually described Shaquille as a father figure. God bless you, Shaquille O'Neal, for admiring what Clark was doing. Oh, and then there's this. Do you remember all of the hand-wringing that female athletes in the WNBA weren't being paid as much as men? That's true. They weren't. They also weren't developing anywhere near the revenue that the NBA does. Oh, speaking of that, can I give you an aside? Did you know that OnlyFans, the porn site, makes more money than all NBA players combined? Yeah, that should be a topic about respect for women, shouldn't it? Here's some numbers for Michael Mulvill. Final WNBA regular season viewership, all rated networks. Caitlin Clark games, 1.178 million. Almost 2 million viewers per game. Almost 1.2, million per game. All other games, 394,000. That's a 199% difference. And then from NBAtracker.com. Finally, someone who's well-respected said something we're all thinking. I've researched this. After a 600% increase in the new 11-year guaranteed media rights revenue deal, I believe that after paying the current debt and the chartered flights and paying the W investors who own 60% of the league and the new upcoming salaries in San Francisco and Toronto, the players' pay will increase in 2026 to by at least 300%. Thank you, Caitlin. Wings announcer and Basketball Hall of Famer Nancy Lieberman. What Caitlin Clark has done for the game is generational. As a baller to a baller, I just want to say thank you to you, Caitlin Clark, for lifting our game up. You and so many great players for what you're doing. You're going to make all these women multimillionaires one day, like Tiger did, like Michael Jordan did, and we shouldn't hate on her. We should celebrate her, not tolerate her. We've prayed to have the media know what's going on, my generation, and it's happening right now. It is happening in a league that was designed to promote grievance causes and left-wing causes. And leftism is grievance. Caitlin Clark has stepped into a racial organization, and that should be recognized, but something else. Isn't this the way that you can heal? Isn't this the way, if these women could step back and look at what Caitlin's athleticism, not her so-called whiteness, but what her athleticism has brought to them in terms of attention? This is a huge test for them. Are they willing to love a woman they've decided is their enemy? Well, honestly, as Christians, you know what we're told? We cannot expect Christian behavior from non-Christians, but we can pray that that will be the case, and we should.